Welcome back to another episode of Real Talk Live, where we talk about movies, TV shows, and all the latest entertainment news. I'm your host, Krypton Caged, and I'm joined here by my co host, the Viking. How are you?
What's going on? The DC universe is going to be saved because not because of the Snyderverse, not because of Joker 2 or Robert Pattinson's Batman, because Wonder Twins is coming. Wonder Twins is what's going to save the DC universe, and now only now they can compete with Marvel in the MCU. Kevin Feige is like nobody's seen Kevin Feige since this announcement's been made. Come on. So yeah, Wonder Twins is something we'll talk about a little bit later. But I'm good. I'm not too bad. Not too many topics. The news has something insane the last few days, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. But yeah, some interesting stuff to talk about. So
Absolutely. This is pretty big news, and we'll definitely be talking about that. But before we get into that, let's jump into the first topic of today, which is Tokyo Vice. Now, I know nothing about this show, but I've heard a lot of people talking about this over the past few weeks. And you have mentioned it too. And the poster definitely looks intriguing and interesting. The plot also seems interesting to me. Um, it seems like a thriller, something like that. So, you've seen what, 5 episodes now?
yeah, the first 5 episodes. I think what they did was they released the first three, like what most streaming services are doing. The first three episodes, and then I don't know. I think this week they put out two, so 4 and 5 came out. So that was a bit interesting how they did that. Did you see the trailer for Tokyo Vice when it came out? Because I
Nope.
didn't see. I never seen like a big marketing campaign for this at all. I was basically just going. Like there's like these YouTube channels online that have like this week's trailers, where it's like 30-minute video, but it's all the trailers from all the week released. And I clicked on it, and one of them was Tokyo Vice. And I didn't hear anything about this show at all, and the trailer kind of piqued my interest, and I think it's based on a book or a series of books. I don't know if it's a true story or not. I didn't look that far into it, but yeah, yeah, the trailer looked very interesting. Michael Mann was the executive producer on this. He directed the first episode. It also stars like Ansel Elgort. He was in Baby Driver. I think he got kind of cancelled there a while ago as well. I think it was all thrown out. I don't know if it was real allegations or whatever, but he's trying to do a bit of a comeback. He was in West Side Story, which I haven't seen. So he must be getting back on track if Steven Spielberg was casting him and Michael Mann is using him for this show. But yeah, I got to see the first 5 episodes, and basically, kind of like the plot for this series is American journalist. He goes to Japan. He tries to get work in one of the biggest newspapers in Japan. He gets work there as a journalist. He's trying to build his way up. He kind of gets attached to a cop in Tokyo, and he starts to slowly kind of get intertwined with the gangs and with the kind of the mob in Japan and stuff like that. So it's kind of following this character, this journalist, kind of working his way up and chasing leads and trying to take down the mob. And look, I think it's got a nice style and substance to it. This series, not just because not like the way it's filmed, the way like some of the directing tricks are very interesting and very kind of engaging when you're watching the show. And it also has this kind of thing where it's probably half of it's English dialogue and the other half is Japanese dialogue. And if you're not a person for subtitles and you don't like reading dialogue, then maybe this isn't a show for you. But if you don't mind that, then I think it keeps you more engaged, because sometimes if you're at home watching a movie or a show, kind of, and it's all in English, you kind of are maybe prone to take out your phone or looking at your iPad or something like that because you can hear the dialogue, you know. But with something like this, unless you speak Japanese, you're going to have to sit there, watch the episode for the 60 minutes, and actually concentrate on it because you have to read dialogue as well to keep up with it. And I actually like this. It keeps me more engaged with it. And when I get a notification on my phone, I know not to touch it because I need to pay attention, or I'm going to mess up the entire series for myself. So I do like that. The movie's got a nice color to it in terms of the way it's shot, just with Japan, just how it feels, especially the nightlife, because we get to go into a lot of clubs, and there's some nice Japanese music as well. And yeah, I'm really digging the show right now. 5 episodes in, I have to say the first 3 episodes are slow, and it's kind of you're getting used to the characters and the world and stuff like that. But episodes 4 and 5 just bring it up to an extra level. They really do. And there's some awesome. There's actually some in episode 5. There's hand-to-hand combat action sequences, which is really, really good and really well shot because it's kind of one shot sequence with very little cuts. Really enjoy that. Japanese like sword fighting and karate or whatever the right styles are called in Japan. So that was awesome. But it's getting better and better right now, and I can't wait for episode 6. And when I was watching the trailer for this, I was like, Ansel Elgort, he looks a bit young to play this character in this kind of position, just judging by the trailer. So I didn't really buy him in the trailers in this role. But then once you sit down and actually watch the series and you get the context of the series and of the character and of the location, then that kind of thought goes out the window straight away because you get to understand it. I think he's doing a great job as well. So yeah, I've been enjoying it right now, and it's kind of a different kind of crime mob series and or movie, because most of the ones I've watched have been like Western. They've been like in America or in England, those kind of mob things. I haven't watched too many that are based in Japan, so this is kind of a nice change of scenery for me. And yeah, I've been enjoying it so far. There's not much to spoil really. It's kind of there's nothing too shocking with the series. It's just like crime, mobs, kills, the journalists, stuff like that. So yeah, I've been enjoying it so far. Is it something that you're kind of interested to check out, or you think you'll maybe catch up and watch the 5 episodes now, or will you wait for the series to end? I think it's only about 8 episodes altogether, so there's 3 episodes left.
Yeah, I think I'll be catching up and then watching the last three together because um I might lose interest if I just wait till the end of the season, so yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out. But right now I have some things to watch first and then switch on to this. It
Yeah.
sucks that this is on HBO Max because I don't have it here, so I'll have to just download them and
Yeah.
watch it.
Yeah, well, I also want to kind of talk about Ken Watanabe. He's in this as well. He plays the kind of one of the highest police officers in Japan. Of course, we've seen him in stuff like Godzilla, Inception. He was in King of the Monsters as well, I think. He's been in some nice roles. Transformers, The Last Night, cinema. But he plays a nice solid role here too. But yeah, I thought I liked the first 3 episodes. I did like the first 3 episodes, but episodes 4 and 5 have really just pushed the show, elevated the show even higher now. Where I'm thinking like, oh, this could get even better than what it is right now, and if it does, yeah, we could have something really cool on our hands here. So yeah, I've been enjoying it so far. Hopefully, it kind of sticks the landing in these last 3 episodes, and yeah, it has some music as well from Japan, where I of course I don't understand the lyrics, but it sounds good, so I'm enjoying it. So I like the Japanese music.
Awesome. So let's jump right into the second topic of today, and that is Johnny Depp and Amber Heard's trial. Well, not the trial necessarily, because um, I have no interest in that, to be honest, but how it impacts the DC roles and the WB roles that they have currently. Obviously, Johnny Depp, had a case in the UK for defamation against his name and all that. So he lost that one, which led to Warner Brothers just removing him from the cast of Fantastic Beasts 3. And right now, Mads Mikkelsen has taken that role and he has been replaced. So that's something that happened because of this, and he lost his role. And Amber Heard is still, they are both currently on trial right now. And I don't know if right now they are, but Maher will, say more about that. But because of this, Amber Heard could also lose her role, and potential sequels or what spin-offs, whatever, she could lose her role as well. So to me, she is not that. Um, I didn't think that she was very integral to her role or Aquaman movies or anything like that. Although in the first movie she has a lot of screen time, I didn't think that this casting was necessarily that perfect for it. So yeah, I thought I could just take it or leave it. So in that case, I'm not too bothered if she loses her role. But As for the trial, I have no, sides in it. I have no stake in it, so I really don't care that much. And if she leaves the role, it's fine by me. If they recast her, I just don't care enough. But with Johnny Depp, I've seen Fantastic Beasts 3, and I didn't feel it was that different. It was that, I didn't feel that the recasting obstructed the movie. To put it that way, I didn't feel like Mads Mikkelsen did a bad job or anything like that. He was perfectly fine. He did amazing in that, and yeah, I had no problem with that, and I'll definitely have no problem with Mira's role getting recast for that matter. So we'll see about that. Maher seems to be frozen. Hey, can you hear me? Oh, oh, cool. Um, Let me just add you back onto the stream. Give me a second.
I think my audio was messed up or something.
Yep, you're back now.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. So we were talking about the trial.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I've been kind of following the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial. Not that, like, I'm not invested in it or anything. I just kind of find this stuff kind of interesting, and a lot of it's coming up on TikTok as well. The clips of it, but yeah, Walter Amada was he testified because they're testifying a lot of people who were involved in kind of discussions about her and Johnny Depp, and I think Zack Snyder's name was on it, Jess Momoa's name was on it. People who kind of maybe had conversations about her, and yeah, like talking about recasting Mera, like I'm surprised it didn't really happen if Johnny Depp had been recast as Fantastic Beasts. I know he was found guilty and Amber Heard wasn't, but like it's from the same studio. What happens now if Amber Heard what happens if she kind of loses this one? Like, what's the perception on that? It doesn't sound too good that Walter Amada was coming out and saying this when he's still the DC president and she's still Mera, and they're supposed to have a continuous working relationship after this. That doesn't sound too good. So, do you think yourself now that Walter Amada is saying this in a public format like this during a case? Do you think this is the writings on the wall right now where she will be recast? Not, of course, she can't be for Aquaman 2 because that's coming out later this year or early next year, because that's not possible whatsoever unless they were to completely delay the movie. But I don't think that's going to cost way more money to do that.
Yeah.
Do you think for Aquaman 3 they will kill her off or rewrite her out, or maybe they'll shoot a scene now that kills her off in Aquaman 2? I don't know. What do you think? Do you think the writing's on the wall? Because this doesn't look good to me at all.
Yeah, I think there will be consequences from this. Like I said, I haven't been following any of this. It doesn't matter to me, but because this affects the role, I think whether whatever the decision comes from this trial, I think she is problematic for WB, right? Just because of this whole situation, because maybe this won't be the last time we are hearing about this, right? So just in case, I think they will just move away from her. That's for sure. So I don't think they will recast her for Aquaman 2. The movie has been shot, and they can't do anything about it. But maybe they can send her off to some other island or whatever, and she never returns, something like that, or kill her off or anything.
It seems to be the excuse for everything. Or there's a problem in the nightmare world. She's in the nightmare world.
Yeah, something like that could happen, because I don't think that killing her off would make everyone happy, because there are a lot of people on her side as well, and you just can't, whatever decision they take, you just cannot make everyone happy. And yeah, although this doesn't affect the general audience much because they don't care about all this, it still has some effect. And whether it's true or not, you can see some of that in the Fantastic Beasts box office right now. So maybe it does have an effect. So yeah, I would be fine with it. I don't care much about Mera, to be honest. And if she gets recast, any other wonderful actress can take her place. She's not that like iconic of a character or anything.
Yeah, and I think in the report as well, I think Walter Hamada, he wanted to get rid of her,
Hmm.
but he was kind of his higher executives kind of overruled him on it. So
Toby Emmerich.
yeah, probably Toby Emmerich, but like it's funny how they gave Zack Snyder Mera to use in the Nightmare edition of photography for Zack Snyder's Justice League. Didn't say no, you can't use her and stuff like that. It's kind of like they wanted to justify their decision of keeping her around and getting rid of Johnny Depp by like that's why like they gave Zack Snyder Mera because not because they love Zack Snyder or anything, but it helped them in their justification for keeping her around because it looks bad for them if Johnny Depp is able to come out of this recent case well. If he comes out of this good, it looks so bad on Warner Brothers that they kept her around and they sacked him and not her. You know, so it's like they're trying to justify their own decision of keeping her around. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I just found it interesting that Walter Matty came out and was so honest about it. Of course, he has to be honest in court, but you know, that's his talent. That's someone that works for him, and he's just throwing them under the bus straight away like that. And she has to sit there and listen to all of this.
Walter
Give her
Hamada
no
is
other
good
side.
at throwing people under the bus, isn't he?
Yeah, yeah, he is. But like, she has to sit there and listen to this, and she must be thinking, my role as Mera is as good as gone. You
Yep.
know, in future installments. So yeah, the Johnny Depp trial. There's a lot of there. It seems to be he did some stuff wrong, she did some stuff wrong, but it seems just him that's getting all the blame in terms of the courts and stuff like that. And in terms of like, does it have an effect on the movies? I don't know. Like maybe 5, 10 years ago, it wouldn't have had such an effect on the movies, but now with social media and TikTok being such a big thing, it's like people get their news, they get these stuff in like 1 minute segments, and that kind of shapes the perception on something. And even some of my TikToks I've done recently on, say, on the Johnny Depp, I didn't cover the trial, I just covered what we're talking about now in terms of Mira, and that kind of blew up, and it got like 300,000 views. But most of the comments were like, I know this isn't like for every single person. I don't know if this is a good, mirror of the box office for Aquaman 2 or anything, or even Fantastic Beasts. But a lot of the comments were like, "That's it. I'm not watching any movie that has her in it. I'm not watching any Warner Brothers movie. I'm not watching any Harry Potter, Fantastic Beast movie unless she is recast and Johnny Depp is brought back into the movies." So, and there was a lot. There was hundreds and hundreds of people saying this, that they're not happy at all the way that Johnny Depp has been treated, and that they're not making any more Pirates movies, and that he's been recast in the Harry Potter spin-off, and she is still working, and she has gotten no, she's faced no actions from what she has done. So yeah, so that is interesting. But I just think with TikTok and social media being so big right now, it feels like everybody knows what's going on. So maybe it does affect the movies in a way. And Fantastic Beasts, we'll talk about it, of course. We can bring that factor into it a little bit later. But yeah, it's interesting. Maybe it does affect it. Maybe people aren't turning their head as much as they used to.
Yeah, maybe it's a factor, and we'll definitely be talking about Fantastic Beasts. Let's bring up the let's bring up the box office for that one because not good, not good.
Yeah, well, I talked about this last week. I think I
Yes, you
don't
did.
you
I didn't
did
agree
like
with
you.
you. Yeah,
Yeah, and you're a fan. Like I haven't watched. I have to be honest. I haven't watched any of the Fantastic Beasts movie. And I'm a huge Harry Potter fan. I played all the games. I watched all the movies. Had merchandise, but I could never. When the trailers came out for the Fantastic Beasts, I just never felt the need to go and watch it. You know, it just didn't have that
yeah.
Harry Potter feel to me at all, and it just didn't. And even a week ago, when I talked about the reason I talked about it being so bad for a Harry Potter spin-off, because people were like, Omicron and China market is not as fluent as it was. It's closed in a lot of markets. And I was like, that may be the case. That may be 100% true. But internationally, last week, it didn't make as much as it should have. It didn't make as much as the previous two movies did.
Right.
And people used all those excuses. And that's fine. It could be true. That could be valid. Okay. But when you go into its second weekend, which is its opening weekend domestically, and you're relying on a market that hasn't been as enthusiastic for these movies as the international box office has, you're now hoping the domestic box office saves your movie at the box office when 75% of the box office that the previous two movies made came from other territories that weren't in the US. So I could see it. That's why I said last week this isn't good. This isn't good at all. And I think it's been proved. I don't want to be right, but it's been proven to be right this week because a $43 million opening for a Harry Potter spin-off isn't good.
Yep.
And it's yeah, I just think people thought that maybe the US box office would save it this week. Going by the history of the previous two movies, it wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Because the fan base hasn't been as interested as the international fan base. And that's a shame because, I want these movies to do well and I want people to enjoy them and stuff like that. But it looks like this may be the last one.
Yeah, it really sucks because let's go through this article first. Dumbledore, Secrets of Dumbledore opens to 43 million US, lowest in Harry Potter franchise. What now for the J.K. Rowling IP? And there's an update. Okay, so if there's still a 5-picture plan in place, which no, I don't think that's happening. But clearly, after this weekend's 43 million opening of Secrets of Dumbledore, it's time to pivot the Harry Potter franchise. That's the lowest opening ever stateside for a J.K. Rowling Wizarding World movie, and it's probably not prudent for the studio to go for another low opening record on the next project from the franchise. It was evident Harry Potter fans did not like the last movie, Crimes of Grindelwald, which is definitely a huge factor. Even if there was a cliffhanger and they didn't want to come back for Dumbledore. With Warner Brothers Discovery merger made official on the Wall Street earlier this week, this is unfortunately not the best optics for the studio. However, as CEO David Zaslav gets to know Hollywood, he should realize that sometimes greenlight decisions predate the studio's current regime. Who would greenlight a $200 million net worth production on a franchise that wasn't working? The Fantastic Beasts movies were put into play by former WB Entertainment CEO Kevin Tsujihara. Now, let me tell you something first. You haven't seen the movies, right? So,
No.
As a fan of these movies, like I didn't enjoy Crimes of Grindelwald much. I didn't think it was bad. I just think it was very uneventful. I don't remember most of it. I just remember, some scenes from it and all that. I do like the first movie a lot because it had that charm, it had that heart. The characters are amazing. It was a very light-hearted story, and it was beautiful. So that movie was good, but it still didn't have the Harry Potter elements because they were moving away from all that, right? They wanted to create something new. It's not like The Force Awakens where you are introducing new characters, but you still have these legacy characters in the background, right? That wasn't the case here. There was nobody from the old movies. So the requels, that's how the Scream movie called it, right? The reboot sequels.
Yeah.
So that's not what happened here. So basically they didn't get anyone from them. So right from the get-go, people were not interested. Okay, it did make money. I think the first Fantastic Beasts made around 800 million something international total worldwide. I think so, if I remember correctly, but that was the highest. The second one didn't make much money. The third one is the lowest now. I don't know if it will have legs, but it should based on the quality of the movie. But I don't think it will because of various factors, which we also mentioned last time. Because the last movie did not do well, and that was mostly due to the kind of movie it was, and also the Johnny Depp situation that happened. So that could also play a factor in it. That is definitely playing a factor in it now, I think, because look at the numbers. It just shows, right? You cannot argue with that because until last time I was still arguing with you that maybe it won't affect and all that, but now the numbers are clear. You just cannot argue, right? So let me put it this way: Warner Brothers made Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League, and they mostly profited from that. Okay, and all those movies made over $500 million, right? And this franchise only did it once. And
Yeah.
I don't think this third movie will cross 500 either. I don't think. I hope it does because I like this franchise, but it's performing even lower than the DC movies that Zack Snyder did. So,
I don't think it will because what's it made
yeah,
so far? Like 150 million, 140 million around that. They're
yeah,
talking about getting an extra 350 million over the next 40 days before it goes on HBO Max. 45 days.
nope.
I don't think so.
And on top of that, you have all this word of mouth where people are against it. The Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial is going on right now as the movie is releasing.
Yeah, it's
Um,
weird.
and, the marketing has also been
Hold on a
very
second.
interesting.
1 second. How do you let that happen where you release the movie the opening week that the court case is happening for the star? I'm going to say star. No disrespect to Jude Law or Eddie Redmayne, but like none of that cast, even Mads Mikkelsen, none of that cast is at the caliber of Johnny Depp
No, they are not.
in terms of the movies he's done, in terms of just who he is as a person. And you let that movie come out the same week as his trial, like that's bad marketing. I don't give a.
To be fair, the release date was set way before when the trial was announced to be happening now. This trial just came out of nowhere. WB couldn't, do anything about it. To be fair. But that's still bad timing. It's still very bad. It's the worst timing because it's literally happening the same time. So, and on top of that, you have J.K. Rowling stuff. So, there are so many factors that is working against it.
Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller too, yes, that's also another factor. So I personally would urge people to go watch this movie and support this movie because um, it really is good. It's it arguable. Even Scott said that it was the best one. I've most people who have seen this movie are saying that this is the best one yet. But if you are
Too little, too late.
yeah. But if you are still just you do not care about this franchise at all, you just want Harry Potter, then maybe this movie is not for you. But if you still want to feel that Harry Potter magic or get back into that world, this movie does it. So, without spoiling anything, I'll just say that. So if you wanna, if you want these movies to continue, whatever, go watch it. If not, then I don't think, I don't think that this franchise is continuing. Not after what happened with this movie, and after 3 movies. If Anne Sarnoff was around, she would just put out another article. We're happy to be working. We're happy to complete the trilogy that J.K. Rowling was making and move on to better things, whatever.
Yeah, they'll have to protect the perception of
Yeah.
the IP as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if in 45 days, once this hits HBO Max, it's like record-breaking number or something like that, or like one of, I would not be surprised if a big article came out about Fantastic Beasts being on HBO Max because you have to protect the perception of your brand, even if it's lies. And I understand if they were to do that, if they were to tell lies about this. But yeah, let's just say it makes 350 million on HBO or at the box office around that, close to 400. Let's just say it does between 300 and 400. And on HBO Max, it kind of blows up. It does really, really well. Then maybe you have a justification for 4 and 5 to be made. Maybe you
Do
could have a
they?
series, a limited series on HBO Max to finish the story. Because it would be a shame if you have this 5-story plan and it gets cut halfway through. That would be a shame. We were used to that with the Snyderverse. But to have a limited series on HBO Max, I think that would do really, really well, actually.
But that's coming, isn't it? So they don't have to continue this.
Yeah.
They can just skip this and go to that,
Yeah, well, they could. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, they could do, like, just to finish it up, do a limited series, 6 episodes or something like that, 8 episodes, Fantastic Beasts, finish it there on HBO Max. That's something they could do before the main. That could tide them over until the actual Hogwarts HBO Max series comes. But yeah, it's not too good at the minute. Yeah, I got a B plus cinema score as well, which is
also the
one of the
lowest
lowest.
one. Yeah.
That's one of the lowest for Harry
Only
Potter
Crimes of
movie.
Grindelwald had B plus, and now
Yeah.
this movie has B plus.
Yeah, so it's not. There's not too many wins with these movies at all.
Yeah.
And if they're costing a lot of money to make, and then each time they come out, the box office is getting lower and lower, then you obviously have a problem. You can say what you want about. We're just talking about like the Zack Snyder's movies. was a progression of his box office, though. Even though maybe the critics weren't so impressed, or like online was very hurtful to it. Like Man of Steel would have made, and then Batman v Superman made an extra 350 million after that. Suicide Squad came out, made close to 800 million. Wonder Woman made a lot of money, and then when they tried to change kind of tone and stuff, that's when the box office has gone down and gone down and gone down in the DCEU. It's only because of movies like Joker and Batman, which are standalone things in their own right. That's their only big wins. Like Aquaman, I would relate that to the Snyderverse movie as well, because he cast that character, and but yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Fantastic Beasts, because there's a lot of damage control got to do with this over the next week and a half or so. It might have legs though as well. So because there is a lot of movies out right now. There's Sonic out there, that's a big family pull, Sonic the Hedgehog, and that's first one was great.
That's also another factor. Yes, that's playing right now.
That blew up in streaming as well during the pandemic. So many people fell in love with that movie, and that's why the second one's doing so well. So
yep.
I wouldn't say it's over yet. I think it might have some legs, of course, but if the 45-day window is in place, just like the Batman, and they cut the Batman one short, they brought out a little bit earlier. It's coming out tomorrow, so they might do the same for Fantastic Beasts as well. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes. I don't know, Harry Potter fans.
I don't think it's going anywhere, dude. Like, they still have 2 more movies in that plan. The actual plan is Dumbledore fighting Grindelwald like a full army versus army. So that's the big battle, and it's just because that's also a big budget movie. How do you justify making that? I don't think it's happening.
It's you're going to lose money if it continues this way, unless
Yeah.
I don't know, they cast a big actor in 4 and 5, or they bring Johnny Depp back. But can they do that now to Mads Mikkelsen? Like, it's a bit of a mess.
Yeah. They cannot bring Johnny Depp back. Like, Mads Mikkelsen is playing him. I don't think that would bode well with the whole franchise at all.
Yeah, it's messy.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next topic, which is Moon Knight. And Moon Knight episode 3. What did you think of it?
Yeah, look, I don't know. The kind of the story is kind of, is it hard to follow for you in a way? It's like it's kind of, there's a lot of complicated stuff too. Like, can you tell me, like, basically what is the end game here for Ethan Hawke's character? Like, what's the character that is kind of over Moon Knight? The name of the character there. I kind of can't remember his name.
Mark Spector.
The Pharaoh, the big kind of monster thing that's there and always there. That character, like I think that I like the tone of the show. It's fun as well. There's a lot of humor in it as well. But I actually thought, like, some of the CGI and VFX are still pretty poor, especially the action. But it didn't put me off the episode. I did like to see. Finally got to see Moon Knight do hand-to-hand combat, which was cool. I liked that a lot. But the scene, that scene there were the colors, and it was just so beautiful in the desert.
Yeah,
that was an awesome scene. That was really, really cool. The visual effects there were stunning. I really like that. But yeah, I'm enjoying the show, but I don't know exactly what's going on with it at times either. I'm just kind of, this is cool. Moon Knight's there, cool suit. Oh, Oscar Isaac is having a lot of fun. Very funny at times. Ethan Hawke is this cult leader. Pretty cool. Some action. But, like, what is the end game with all of this? What's it leading to is what I'm kind of still suspicious of, which is good, I think, in a way. But maybe I'm just kind of idiotic and stupid. I'm not understanding what's the actual plot for the series is.
Well, there are still 3 episodes remaining only, so I think that is coming soon. But yeah, I think the episode was fantastic. Although I didn't like the trial stuff that much, I think that was very easily, resolved. Like, there was one meme going around today, although it's not that accurate, but it kind of is similar to what happened. So basically that, main, the guy who was judging the thing just asked Arthur, "Did you do it?" And he said no. And then the trial was over.
Yeah.
So I know that, he brought up, Steven's, he brought up that Steven was unwell and all that, and that's why the trial got canceled. I understand. I thought that meme was funny because it just happened so quickly and it was over. But apart from that, I thought everything was cool. The
Khonshu is the character.
yes, Khonshu, right? I thought the scene with Khonshu and Steven in the suit, that scene was cool with how they were doing moving the sky back 2000 years, but how was that? I didn't understand the mechanics of it. At first I was thinking maybe it's just in his head, and they're trying to do it in his head, but they showed other people watching it, and they literally showed so many other people that were actually watching the sky, and it was happening, right? So I don't know what's the consequences of that. Like, was the Earth spinning that much? How do you move the sky 2,000 years back? It's like moving into the past or something, right?
It looks cool. That's what's the question. It just looks cool.
It does look cool, yes. But that's one thing I was like, okay, I don't think anyone in the MCU is gonna mention this. Just like in the Eternals, a big, a big head popped up in the sky, and nobody's gonna question that either, right? So I think the show is pretty good, and I'm loving the show. I thought the second episode was fantastic. I loved that the most so far, but this episode was pretty good as well. I know a lot of people are hating on it. I don't know why, because it seemed very good to me. And I'm really curious to see how this unfolds. Like you, I have no clue about what's going on. They're just wanting to, something to do with Amit or whatever the character is, the crocodile lady. Maybe she's the main villain or whatever. So I guess that would be the final battle. So I'm curious to see where this goes, and I'm very interested in all the characters. Um, and they hinted at a third character appearing, in his personality, right? So that's also something that we have to look forward to.
Yeah, I like Ethan Hawke's character. I'm kind of interested in that storyline because Khonshu used to kind of control him, and he used to be kind of over him. So then Ethan Hawke's character broke away from it.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to learn more about that. Because I don't think Khonshu was all that good. Like, he's not like, I think there's something shady about him as well. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just saying he's not that perfect. So it might be revealed as well. Maybe that will lead to Moon Knight trying to break free of him as well. Ethan Hawke's character is pretty cool. He's playing it so like, I don't know. It's kind of camp, but it's also kind of really serious in a way too. He just looks like to be having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so that's very interesting to watch. And then like Moon Knight's suit, I love his suit. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Really, really cool. That's probably the best part of watching Moon Knight. I like the VFX and action. It could be better, in my opinion. I just think it doesn't look as clean as well as it should. But yeah, it's kind of like the Marvel Batman. He's standing on top of the buildings, and the moon was in the background. That was a really cool shot.
Yeah.
And I'm enjoying watching him having these fight sequences. And I would love to see him in the future. I think there's people who've been saying, there's a comic book run of him and Daredevil, Punisher, Ghost Rider. I think maybe I forget the Sons of
Midnight Suns. Yeah, I think they will just add him in that group. So they are building up to that.
That would be really cool. I'd like to see a series like that, kind of like the Defenders Netflix series.
Not like that.
Well, not like that, but the concept of that. The concept of that, having them together. That would be awesome. I think I want to see Oscar Isaac's Steven, and I want to see kind of Mark interact with the Avengers, some of the characters there, because I think there's some interesting comedic scenes that could be done there, because he's just so funny to watch. And Oscar Isaac's accent as Steven, it's hilarious to me. I don't know why. It's so funny. And then when he switches back into Mark, it's like it's a completely different character. He's doing such an awesome job at it. So for me, the most entertaining part about the entire series is just watching Oscar Isaac as either Steven or as Mark or as Moon Knight or as Mr. Knight. Because it's just the Oscar Isaac show for me. And then Ethan Hawke comes in every like 20 minutes or 10 minutes and just gives off this weird vibe, but also this serious I'm a great actor vibe as well. And even though I'm in an MCU Marvel superhero flick, I'm going to bring the caliber up even higher. So I think that's awesome to see. I think also we should mention is, I get the actor's name, but the actor who was the actor who Moon Knight goes to in this episode,
Right.
he passed away. Gaspard, I'll probably butcher his name now. Gaspard Uliali, I'm probably butchering his name, but he passed away, unfortunately, a few months ago. So, but I thought he was pretty cool in the episode, and I don't know, they kind of left it vague at the end where he kind of goes off into the fog or something like that. He kind of gets stabbed, so maybe they thought to bring that character back. Or maybe they just kind of shot that to kind of put this character to an end. But I thought he was pretty cool in this episode as well. It's a shame
Yeah.
the actor passed away, but he did a really good job in this episode, and it's just a shame, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. And look who's here in the chat. It's Ben. He
Ben,
came.
what's up, Ben?
He came to disagree with us.
He took a break from making TikToks.
Oh, really? Damn.
He's making TikToks. Yeah, he's very frequent on TikTok. He was doing one. He was doing one of which celebrity to marry. It's like this different filters you can do,
Oh,
and that was pretty funny, Ben. I watched that today.
yeah. I only get to see the ones that you guys share as a video because we don't have TikTok here, so I'm missing out on all the Ben Gold.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's move on to the next topic, which is your favorite one. Wonder Twins. I don't know why we are talking about this. I don't know why this even is happening. I don't know why these these people are cast, but okay, so KJ Apa and Isabel May have been
Yeah.
cast in DC's The Wonder Twins film on HBO Max. Okay. I know nothing about Wonder Twins, and
Oh, I'm going to tell you everything.
please do.
Okay, so yeah, Wonder Twins is coming to HBO Max as an original movie. I don't know why, as you said, it's the weirdest thing ever. It could be the weirdest DC movie that we're ever going to see. Look, the two actors are fine. You know, KJ Apa from Riverdale. He's probably the best thing on that show, but the dialogue at times is terrible. So if he's able to make that dialogue work, he can make anything work, to be honest with you. So he was actually always my kind of pick as maybe a Nightwing or a Robin or something like that. He always had that type of look for me. But yeah, he's been cast in this with Isabella May. Yeah, so these characters were introduced in 1978, I think it was, in an animated series called Super Friends. I think Super Friends first aired in the 60s, late 60s, maybe early 70s, and it was just the Justice League. It was just like a Justice League show. And in 1978, they came back. They had like a reboot or a new series of it. And it was the Justice League again. It was Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Superman, Batman, and Robin. But they introduced the Wonder Twins as well. And even if you look up Super Friends, it looks so weird seeing the Justice League and then these two twins in this purple outfit in the middle. It just looks weird, so weird. But yeah, so it's these two. It's twins, obviously. They're brother and sister, and they have powers. And the male character is named Zayn, and the female character is Jaina. So Jaina can turn into any animal she wants. So she can be a bear, a hawk, any animal she wants to be. She can turn into it. And Zayn's power is the greatest power in the world. He can turn into water. So he can turn into ice. He can turn into anything that can be turned into water, any form. He can do it. And one of his greatest kind of in the animated series, one of his greatest kind of transformations was into a unicycle made of water. That's what he used to do. And if there was a fire or anything, he would turn into like a bird or like a hawk or something like that, and they would get a bucket, and he would turn into water, and he would get into the bucket, and then they go put the fire out. That's what we have. That's what we have. That's what we have. That's going to happen in the movie. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how they pull off this movie. They also had a sidekick, which was a blue monkey called Gleek. So I don't know if they're going to have this monkey in the movie or not. Probably will, because you guessed the merchandise, action figures and teddy bears and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm sure they're going to use Gleek. They also had their first live action appearance in Smallville season 9, episode 8, and they actually weren't too bad in that episode of Smallville. They didn't have the monkey though. They didn't put the monkey into the series. All they had like a cameo for Gleek the monkey. He was like the back of the girl's phone.
So already did that.
Just a picture. What?
So they already did that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, but so they had them on Smallville, and yeah, it was just like I don't understand why they're doing this movie, but they're doing it anyway. But I think the writer for Black Adam is going to direct this one. He's writing it and he's directing it. So yeah, I don't know why they're actually making this movie. It's going to be a weird DC movie. Maybe they can pull it off. Maybe they can make it interesting. But it sounds like it's going to be very fun and very campy in a way and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't really understand the process of. I'm all for having new characters and stuff like this, but it's just weird how you could have like a Deathstroke series, or you could have some other character in some other movie or show, but you go with the Wonder Twins.
I'm not too sure that this movie is even happening now, because this movie was kind of in the works before the merger happened. There were some rumors about this being greenlit and all that. So yeah, I don't know now if it will ever see the light of day, even if they're cast. I don't think I don't know. It just seems like it would never happen. But I will keep an eye on it and see if the trailer looks interesting, and if it looks interesting, I might watch it. But so far, I have zero interest, and I don't think I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's like on the surface we can be hard about it, but like you never know until you know. Like Peacemaker was a character that, like, why does he need a HBO Max series? And that series was pretty good. I enjoyed that. I thought it was brilliant. Yep. So you never know what kind of story direction they'll go with it. What kind of extra stuff they'll put into it, like new stuff, new material into it. What other cast members will be cast? What's the story? So there could be some very interesting stuff. But like the characters always had an obsession with superheroes and to be superheroes and stuff like that. So I hope they don't have them idolizing the Justice League and stuff like that. That kind of way, like being a fanboy and anybody can be a superhero, stuff like that. So yeah, it's just weird because DC is weird. And I like DC. I love DC so much. And I like how there's different interpretations of characters in different universes. But like you have the main DCEU, which is going to be kind of rebooted in a way after the Flash movie, like a new Michael Keaton and stuff like that, Sasha Calle. You also have the Snyderverse there. Many fans want that. You have the Batman, which is a standalone universe. You have the Joker, which is a standalone universe. Then you have the CW Arrowverse. And then you have Superman and Lois, which isn't connected to those universes in a multiverse. Then you have Naomi, which is its own
Titans,
universe as well.
Doom Patrol.
And then you have Titans, you have Doom Patrol, you have you got the Alfred Pennyworth series as well.
Stargirl.
Stargirl is its own thing, not connected to any universe. You had Gotham as well. There's so many different universes in the DC universe. It can be very and there's no wonder when you have Marvel and you don't have such a strong fan base for the DCU, because fans are like, what do I watch? What's connected? What's not connected in a way? And I like the different variations. I do. I kind of watch them all, or pick and choose I get to watch. I like the different versions, different tones. That's cool to me. But it's just like, what is the plan? Like, what is the plan for establishing DC as just a great kind of entity like Marvel is? It's kind of weird at times, and yeah, I don't know.
I'll tell you what the plan is, Maher. The plan is to reboot. Well, not reboot, but overhaul the entire DC Entertainment wing, which I think is a pretty solid way of doing things, because firstly, we all, even the hardcore DCU fans, and why is Nicolas Cage in the
I actually got to tell you one thing about Wonder Twins, and I want to tell you. I want to get your reaction to it, actually. So for the characters, for their powers to work, yeah. Now their powers.
Oh, that I know.
Unless the power, just for anyone who doesn't know, their powers can't work unless they do this one thing. The brother and sister, they have to touch each other and say Wonder Twins, and then their powers activate. I think that's
yes.
But
I hope they keep that, because
I hope they do. Can you imagine the memes?
Yep. There are already memes. I think it's I've
Probably,
seen Zack and DJ do this Wonder Twins activate thing. So I didn't get it
oh, really?
then, but now I do. But yeah. So like I said, I don't think that's happening anymore because of this. So Warner Brothers Discovery exploring overhaul of DC Entertainment. The new owners of all things Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman are exploring an overhaul of DC Entertainment. Multiple sources close to the situation told Variety. So DC Entertainment is uh, the brand of Warner Brothers that handles all of DC, like not just DC Films. So DC Films is the sub brand of DC Entertainment. So DC Entertainment has comics, TV shows, movies, anything, right? So everything comes under DC Entertainment, not just DC Films. So this is not just about DCEU or DC Films or series, whatever. This is all of DC, right? So that's good. It's been less than a week since Discovery closed its deal, blah, 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 joining one of the largest producers of reality programming, blah, 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 blah. The move would potentially affect DC feature film development in the Warner Brothers Picture Group. I don't know if that title will remain, but we'll see. Streaming series at Warner Bros. Television and the creative arm within DC proper, all in an effort to have the disparate elements more closely aligned in order to maximize the value of superhero stable, one often seen as punching up against Marvel, even a decade later. So the I've been saying this for a while, and Mar, even you said this when Zack Snyder's Justice League came out. The the best way, I would say, not the only way, but the best way to have a consistent success at box office is to have a more connected universe, right? I know a lot of people hate to admit that. I know that, not everything has to be universe, and we're not saying that. There definitely can be Batman, Joker, movies like that outside of the universe. But in order to um get the audience to leave their houses and go to the theater again and again for all DC films, you need to build the DC movie brand. You cannot just put out Batman, Aquaman, who make, close to billion, and then put a Plastic Man movie and it just makes 200 million, or Shazam that makes 300 million, or Birds of Prey makes 300 million. Doesn't That's not good for the brand. You see what I'm saying? Don't I'm not saying those movies suck. Those movies are good, and they should make money, but they should make as much or as close to the other characters are, how much the other characters are making. The Batman movie made $800 million, right? And $750 million, and the Aquaman movie made $1 billion. You see what the problem is? Do you see the problem? But the thing is, when
Well,
you have a shared
the
cinematic universe, you have consistent success because, like Maher even used to say, you people keep going back to the theaters because they are interested in what this universe is doing, right? So that's one key thing that DC never had, and I mean never had after they changed stuff after 2016. Before that, there was a plan. They had all of that stuff, but now they don't. So it's definitely an issue, and I'm glad that they acknowledged it. What were you gonna say, Mar?
No, I'm just saying the landscape, the environment has changed over the last few years because of COVID and because of streaming. So in theaters now, that's why you have the big franchise. You have the Jurassic Worlds, you have the Marvel, you have the DC. You have Transformers coming out next year. Indiana Jones 5 is coming out. The landscape has changed where the environment is only accessible to movies that are franchises and sequels in a way. And you have your gems every once in a while of a movie, original movie like Free Guy doing really, really well. But that period of time for each movie is not gonna it's gonna dwindle a bit because people like staying at home, people like streaming, people like watching their movies at home, and that's why Batman is out tomorrow on HBO Max. So yes, you're right. Yes, I think people will go out to see a Marvel movie because it's in theaters, because it's connected so well together, and they have to see the next chapter. and some early estimates come out for Doctor Strange, a 190 million domestic opening weekend it's set for in a few weeks. That's crazy, but it just shows you how people are invested in that universe and how much they want to see the next chapter in the MCU and who they want to see pop up or what's going to happen. And WandaVision was a big kind of hit for them as well. And they want to see Wanda's next journey, and Doctor Strange was in No Way Home. That was pretty cool. What's going to happen with him next? What If also seems to be, if you're a fan of that, oh, cool. I loved What If. I can't wait to go see what's going to happen in the movie. So, yeah, I think, and Jurassic World's bringing back the original three as well. Sam Neill, I forget the actors' names, but they're all coming back, and that's a big thing as well. It only benefited. So, I just think if you're going to have these theatrical movies, the DCEU, you want to have them a little bit more connected, and you don't want Jared Leto's shoulder or Henry Cavill's body and no head. You need to actually have an established connectivity between the movies, and I think that helps.
Yes, and we're not saying that that's the only way to do it, and I'm definitely not saying that you have to copy Marvel or anything. I'm just saying if you need consistent success, which is the thing that Warner Brothers are chasing. Like, they want every movie to do well, right? That's what they have been wanting since 2016. They want every movie to do well. They want those multiple billion-dollar, movies. Look at Ant-Man, right? You have the first Ant-Man movie was pretty good. Then you have the second Ant-Man movie. Nobody cared. The third Ant-Man movie is coming out. So Ant-Man already has a trilogy, right? And Ben Affleck's Batman didn't get one single movie. And you have the new Batman movie, which didn't cross $1 billion. I'm not saying it has to, but
I think the Batman 1 will. I think Batman 2 will
yes,
benefit from Batman 1 making 750 million.
yes. Without getting into why that movie didn't cross $1 billion or whatever, I'm just saying that data-wise, the top tier character of DC didn't cross $1 billion. And over there, Thor Ragnarok, on his third movie, made a 1.2 or 1.3 billion dollars or whatever. So, just based on the IP that Warner Bros. Owns, I can understand the executives looking at what they have and saying, "Why are our characters not making us money?" Right? So that's an issue. Forget Superman and Batman. What about the secondary characters? Do you think if they release a Cyborg movie, they'll cross $1 billion, which they want? No, I don't think so. So you need to have that consistency, right? So let's go through this again.
But just to say as well,
yeah.
to talk about, I hope Peacemaker was the first step. I hope this is the new start, because James Gunn was able to get the Justice League appearing. Ezra Miller and Jason Momoa popped up. Now, I would be critical of that scene if they didn't. If it was just the silhouettes of the characters and no actors, then I would have been very harsh in that scene. But the way he was able to get two of the actors actually popping up, I hope this is the start of it now in terms of what they're going to do going forward. But you just don't know with this company at all. But the Flash movie is going to be cameo galore. We hear of cameos. Michael Keaton was supposed to be in the post-credit scene of Aquaman 2. They had to cut it because of all the delays. Shazam, rumors that Wonder Woman's appearing in Shazam. Black Adam's going through reshoots pretty soon, or maybe already in reshoots. So maybe they can add I'm not saying you need cameos. I'm just saying if you're going to reference people and have a connective universe, and you want people to be invested in it, and you want people to keep coming back and gather discussion, like to talk about things, then you need to have those characters appearing, those kind of cool Easter eggs, because that seems to look at Venom 2 and Tom Holland being in the post-credit scene, like, and the buzz around that, So, and even like back in 2016 with the Suicide Squad movie, if you go to see that and you talk about it with your friend, man, you won't believe what popped up in Suicide Squad movie.
Yeah.
Batman had a scene with Will Smith's Deadshot. The Flash popped up, pretty cool, So, and then the Crisis on Infinite Earths, when Ezra Miller showed up, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
I bet you more people probably watched that because of him being in it than they would have engaged with it online.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you know what I mean? So it's
So yes, all this definitely helps. It's not the only way. It's not, it's not needed, but it sure helps. So, yeah. Before the merger closed, Zaslav vetted candidates with experience in creating and nurturing blockbuster intellectual property with the goal of potentially finding someone to serve as a creative and strategic czar similar to what Marvel has in Kevin Feige. So, this is one of the things also a lot of people, scoff at when they hear DC doesn't need a Kevin Feige and all that. And sure, it doesn't need a Kevin Feige, but it will definitely benefit with him. So they need a person who understands business, who is a producer, who understands how filmmaking works, understands how what characters can, what characters they can benefit from, and how to build around that, how to build movies around that, and how to market them. So the producer needs to understand that first. And then you also need to have a person, maybe the same person or someone on the team who can um, guide you through the characters you have and the universe, the storyline that you're building and the universe you're setting up. And then you also have to have another person on the team who keeps the tabs on what the connectivity is there and all that stuff. So you need to have all this. Marvel has this team. It's not just Kevin Feige. They have a team who does this. They have the same team working on all the movies behind the scenes. It's not just one person. So you need to have that team. To give you an example, DC had that with Zack Snyder, Jim Lee. You can count in Jeff Johns, but they were a team and they created the entire DCEU plan for 5 years, right? So because of that, they had such a big slate of movies and they had this whole
Like
plan.
like Jeff Johns probably would have been a good asset there
Yes.
if he was just kept in a box and not given so much power. You know what I mean? Like he probably would have been a good like with Zack there if he worked because I think he worked well with like in terms of like because he is one of the greatest comic book artists of all time and stuff like that. I think he could have been a good asset there. Only he wasn't such a dickhead. He wasn't such a he was trying to be this Kevin Feige, which is kind of impossible. But he could have if he stayed close to Zack and kind of worked together with them, they could have made something pretty special. But it's unbelievable how he got so much power in such a short span of time coming off of Green Lantern.
Yes, that is definitely there. But at least they had a plan over there. And, it's not Zack's job to create the plan because he's just a director and filmmaker and he has to just create his films. But he did. He and Jim Lee created this entire plan. They had spin off movies, solo films, and all of that from that. So if you need consistent success and want people to be interested in every single outing that you have, not just a couple of movies, then you need to have a plan for 5 years or 10 years. Maybe just an outline. You don't have to follow, what the MCU is doing. The DCEU structure right now is kind of fine. So they don't need to completely change their format. They just need to have a plan, right? So, and you need to have that person who goes to other movies, like the Kevin Feige figure, who goes to other movies and make sure that they are all making their own movies, but also having some sort of connection with the larger universe and larger storytelling, right? You don't have to follow it chapter by chapter. Like you don't have to make Wonder Woman 3 directly after, Man of Steel 2 or something. You don't have to do that. But you can, make sure that they are happening in the same universe without contradicting each other. So
But if
yeah.
yeah, we're not talking about the Joker or Batman. We're talking about a connected
Yes.
universe, which the DCU is, and that's what we're comparing with Marvel here.
Yes.
Like Joker and Batman, they can make a Black Label Bane a movie all they want
Yeah.
or whatever. We're talking about if you want to make a connected universe successful, which is what they're chasing and why they're wondering why aren't we getting the box office income as like Marvel are getting. But also, Kevin Feige engages with his fan base.
That's also, yeah.
He goes to Disney Plus Investors Day. He's there. He's presenting Marvel. He goes to the press tours. He goes to the premieres. He goes to the interviews, and he's the face, and he's the one guiding you through it as well. And that's why he's so well known with fans, because not only has he been a producer on X-Men, Spider-Man, MCU movies, but he's also he's a big nerd. He's a comic book fan, but he is labeled as he's the main guy at Marvel. But he talks to the fans, so
Yeah.
you can put a face on it. And Walter Amada has been in the position since 2019, 2018 as the DC president. I've barely seen the guy, I seen him once in an article there last year where he's sitting with his hands folded, like talking about how the Snyder Cut's a
Forget
cul-de-sac.
forget the general
Tearing down his
audience.
movies.
Even a lot of DC movies won't recognize him. DC
Like, he's tearing
fans.
down his. He teared down his Zack Snyder Justice League movie. That's one of his movies, and he teared it down. And like instead of like Kevin Feige wouldn't do that.
He
at
didn't do
all.
that with Eternals.
No, he didn't. He said like
Yeah.
this should be an Oscar nominee movie. This is a pretty good movie. So like it's weird. Bad management by a lot of these Warner Bros. Executives. And Walter Amada for me, like, has done absolutely nothing in the role
Yes.
at all. And his next like 4 or 5 movies are probably going to be respectfully don't like well received and money and stuff like that. But like you had like the last few years to greenlit the right projects, and you went with Shazam, you went with Birds of Prey, you went with Wonder Woman 84, you went with the Suicide Squad. It's just weird kind of happenings in movies. Like Kevin Feige, he can get like what Marvel did so well too was they put Stan Lee to the front and said, "This is the creator of all our content. This is the man right here." And that helps as well, I think, because then when Stan Lee
that was gonna be Jim Lee.
That's the guy. That could have been Jim Lee. But I just think it's you have no matter what if it's a product, if it's a location, if it's a person, and you're trying to sell it to people, you need to have the right environment. You need to have the right kind of presentation skills for it to work.
Yes.
And DC has kind of butchered it big time in the last few years.
One of the
maybe last decade.
Yes, I agree. One of the things that I've brought up as what DC lacked was communication as well. Like they never communicate with the fans. They never do, and that's one of the biggest problems. Like forget having a face, although that is also key, like you just said, but they never even communicate with the fans. Like every time you hear something about it, it's just in an article, 2 lines from random interviewer going through a source and all that. Where is direct contact between the studio and fans? Nobody does that. So that's also another problem. But yeah, let's continue. One of those candidates, including Emma Watts, a former top film executive at 20th Century Studios and Paramount, but it does not appear that Watts will take the job. Of course not. Who would want to? One insider suggested that Zaslav was less interested in finding a creative guru and more eager to hire someone who had the type of business background needed to keep all the different factions at DC working more harmoniously. This is a very excellent point because again, you first and foremost you need the person who knows that which films will do well and which will not. You cannot randomly throw random names in the box and just ask them to go make those movies just because they're not expensive. You need to make Superman movies, Batman movies, Deathstroke, whatever, the big characters that are more popular, that will get you the right money and all that. But yeah, insiders say that Zaslav believes that the success of the merger, one that has left the company highly leveraged, will rest in no small part on unlocking the full potential of the DC Comics universe of characters. Discovery insiders believe that although DC has achieved cinematic success with recent films such as Aquaman and The Batman, it lacks a coherent creative and brand strategy. Again, this is the exact thing I was saying. Like you need to be consistent. You cannot have Aquaman and Batman making close to $1 billion and then have Shazam and Birds of Prey not even crossing 500 million. That's not how it works. Discovery, and also by the way, the Batman is not even in the DCEU. Discovery believes that several top shelf characters such as Superman have been left to languish and need to be revitalized. 100% yes. They also believe that projects like Todd Phillips' Joker are a shining example of how second build characters from the DC library can and should be exploited. In brackets, Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn is another example. Right, so yes, and they did something with Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn in Birds of Prey, but they did not call it Harley Quinn. They called it Birds of Prey and whatever of Harley Quinn. So a lot of people didn't know that Harley Quinn is the main character of that movie, which she is. It's a Harley movie featuring Birds of Prey, which it should have been named and promoted as, and they failed massively in that. So that's another issue there, right? But to bring back to the Superman point, how many times, Mar, you and I have said this over the years that they need to bring Superman. Like, without Superman, you cannot just, keep making these movies. He's the top character. You need to have movies from him first. Then you can go and make your side movies and, side characters, secondary characters and all that. And people will like that. When people are ultimately frustrated with your main character, how can you expect them to enjoy these other projects that you're presenting to them without saying that, oh, we'll have plans for Superman? The only thing that you keep saying is we have no plans for Superman movies. So,
well, one of the greatest Superman scenes of all time was at the end of the Batman movie. That's all I'd say.
yeah, yeah, I agree. But yeah, look, you need to have Superman movie. You need to have a Man of Steel 2 or the Superman, whatever you want to call it. You need to have that movie, which Henry Cavill also wants, and you need to have it with Henry Cavill because he is the DCEU Superman. You need to bring him back. You need to go make that movie that he wants, which is right after Man of Steel, and between that and BVS, or that's the perfect place. Like, between that and BVS, you have 18 months. So BVS events don't happen until 18 months because there's a gap in that. You have the card on the screen because Batman needs prep time and all that, so he takes 18 months to prepare for that. So you have all that time, right? And we never saw that Superman after Man of Steel that is just living his daily life, is hanging out with Lois Lane, being a reporter, saving random people here and there inside Metropolis or around the world, whatever. We never saw that.
I don't think it has to be in the same aesthetic as Zack Snyder in terms of how he portrays. I think there is a general audience-oriented Superman movie that you could make that could make a lot of money, but doesn't have to be necessarily tied to what Zack Snyder was doing. And I'm not trying to go against what Zack Snyder did. I'm just saying, in terms of, it doesn't have to be exactly a Man of Steel or a Batman v Superman movie. It can be different.
Yes.
And I'm not saying it has to be a reboot or anything like that. I'm just saying it's supposed to be a Superman movie. He's learned from Man of Steel, and now this is him becoming Superman. And there's that 18 months, as you said, and then we kind of have the Batman v Superman phase of that. So there's ways you can do it. It doesn't have to be as deep as Zack. I don't know if they would go as deep as Zack Snyder's movies and the symbolism and stuff like that. They'd probably just like to make a good popcorn Superman movie to make $1 billion or something like that.
Which is fine.
It's fine as well. I don't mind. I want to see Henry Cavill come back. Yeah. But it's kind of Superman should be one of their big characters. He should be a Spider-Man or in terms of Marvel or something like that. But I love Tyler Hoechlin and Superman. I love Superman and Lois. But should Superman be on the CW shows? Should there be a CW Superman show?
He should be the face of the DCEU in the theaters.
That's what I'm saying. Smallville was different because that was a Clark Kent story. It followed him as a teenager or something like that. He never really suit up at all. But Tyler Hoechlin's in the suit every single week. And he is Superman right now. And his reach isn't as big because he's on the CW. And there is no cinematic Superman right now at all. And there's going to be a female one in a year's time and still no male Superman at all. So it's weird. And that's probably what David Zaslav was looking at. Why is Superman on this
bench?
No offense to CW.
Why is Cristiano Ronaldo on the bench every week?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, it's exactly what it is. And then people... Yeah, so I don't know. But it looks like Zaslav is a fan of Superman. He's named the character a few times. So he should be. Wonder Woman gets her own movies. Batman gets her own movies. Superman hasn't had a movie since 2016, 2013, So, yeah, it's strange. But the thing is Zaslav looking at a reboot of Superman? Is he looking at bringing Henry Cavill back? Is he looking at the...
That's not clear,
yes. The Michael Jordan? Is it going to be all three of them? Or Michael B. Jordan? Is it going to be all three of... Are we going to get 3 Supermans, considering we have 3 Batmans now? I don't mind. That'd be cool. We have a HBO Max Superman, DCU Superman, and a standalone, the Batman Superman. Maybe, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. I would go with Henry Cavill because he's known, and he also has kind of a pretty good following online.
People love him.
Witcher,
yeah.
he's like, he's a good looking guy, so he has this like following in terms of like he's hot and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Building the PCs and a good example of it. So I would go with him, and maybe look, he's what in his near 40s now or whatever. Maybe you could get maybe 2 or 3 more movies out of him, and then you could reboot it. Then maybe I just think it would be a missed opportunity not to use Henry Cavill one last time, because I think there's a lot of money on the table to be made from just him, and taking the risk of trying a brand new Superman, because I think Henry Cavill's Superman would make more. I think he would make a lot more at the box office than a brand new Superman would, because you have to build that trust with the audience again. At least you have some trust with Henry Cavill's Superman because he has a fan base there.
Yeah.
You hire some other person who is not that well known. It's a bit of a risk, considering the character hasn't been loved that much, and the box office history of the character isn't that good either. Henry Cavill is the most box office successful Superman we've ever had. So I would go with him for another movie or two, and then maybe you could look at rebooting it.
Absolutely. And also you brought up the Supergirl movie. So that movie, you know how that movie will make more money? By adding Henry Cavill Superman in it. There you go. Now that movie also makes more money. So there's these two, big projects that you can easily do. Like the next Superman movie, get Henry Cavill back. He wants to make that he wants to make a movie between his fall to dark side and right where Man of Steel ended. He wants to make a movie between that, so that you can understand and appreciate when he falls for dark side and all that. So that will become even more wild to see. But when you have this gap here, why are you not making another movie? It's so simple. So yeah. DC has started to figure out ways for its big screen films to inspire more streaming content. Recent examples are HBO Max show Peacemaker and which was a spin-off of Suicide Squad, as well as an upcoming planned series on Colin Farrell's The Penguin, which I'm excited to see, and Gotham City's Police Force, which I think is not happening anymore. But the company believes that DC must do more to grow its approach to comic book fare, including bolstering gaming. Under Walter Hamada, who took over DC Films from John Berg and Jeff Johns in 2018, the unit has achieved more consistency in terms of both critical and commercial reception to the company's movies, which, to be fair, it has, yes. Recently, they have the projects that are currently in development, right? They are more connected from what we hear, and there are cameos and all that, so it is definitely more connected now than it had been in the past 4 years, before Zia's Jail came out. So he is under contract till the end of 2023 and could play an important role in whatever Zaslav has planned. So yeah, that's it. I think this is a very, very positive and interesting development, which we'll definitely be covering as it goes. I hope that good comes out of it. I hope Zaslav is smart enough to see that Henry Cavill Superman is still worth. I hope, even for the Snyderverse, I hope in the future they get together with Zack and complete his jail movies, or as a show, whatever. I would love to see that, because there's definitely an audience there, especially after Zack Snyder's Justice League. And definitely you have these A-list characters in it, Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, Jason Momoa, Ray Fisher, Ezra Miller, and all of these are gonna grow even more from now. So yeah, we'll see how that goes.
I don't think people are saying like, oh, he's going to reboot everything. I don't think he is.
Yeah.
I think they're actually going to do what they're doing right now. I think you're going to have the DCU. You're going to have your CW shows. You're going to have your Doom Patrols, your Superman Lois, your Stargirl. I think you're going to have all these things. You're going to have your Batman. You're going to have your Joker. You're going to have whatever other DC kind of black label movies that they want to make. I think you're still going to have all these things. It's just the main DCU is going to be more connected.
Yeah.
It's going to be more like building up these characters. And then you have the more creative movies like Todd Phillips ones and stuff like that. But like, they have cast. I don't think they're going to reboot, because Sasha Calle, Leslie Grace, even the Wonder Twins casting, Static Shock, Blue Beetle. These are all young characters, and these are all the next generation of actors. So it doesn't make sense by signing them on for these movies and then cutting that short in a year's time, a year and a half time, and rebooting everything. Like they're like Leslie Grace can play a Batgirl for the next 15 to 20 years. So can Sasha Calle. Like so I don't think they're going to cut the universe short. Now, if the next few movies come out and they're actually absolute flops and terrible, and
Then
like
maybe,
that,
yeah.
then maybe, yeah. But I don't think so. So I think the DCU will live on, and then I think I would hope like they have the Snyderverse here as well, and they can do stuff with that. So I think they'll continue doing what they're doing right now. It's just it's going to
Yes,
be more. They're going to be more. The marketing will be better. I think the
they will have a
creatives
plan.
in power will be better. Have a plan. The directors and the writers. I think everything. I think it's basically what they're doing right now. Only they will have the right people in the right positions working together with an overall goal and plan. Whether that be in the DCU connected universe or whether it be the Penguin HBO Max series, or if they make a Joker 2, or like say there's a Bane Black Label movie. But I think just the right people will be involved, and they'll have a plan, and they'll work together, and there'll be no bullshit politics and stuff like that. That's what I hope anyway.
Yes.
And if he does build a DC studio, then that's good as well.
Yeah.
Because then
I was
there's an
looking for
overall
that in the
plan on its
article
own.
because I couldn't find it. I don't think it's in this one, or we just
Yeah.
missed it. But yes, that's
I
another
think it was
thing.
more like a suggestion, like for people who were saying like that's what.
No, it was in one of
Like
the
he probably
articles.
you should probably do it with Harry Potter as well. The Harry Potter studio, like Lucasfilm, Marvel Studios, Disney do that. I think he is copying Disney in a way as well, which is not a bad idea, but also having the mature stance in it as well.
There it
Those,
is.
like R-rated movies. So yeah, I think what they're doing right now will be the plan going forward. It's just they will do it better.
Yeah, so we missed this one here, one paragraph. So it's been less than a week since Discovery closed, joining one of the largest producers of reality programming with one of the most venerable entertainment brands under the new moniker of Warner Bros. Discovery. Zaslav, the CEO of combined companies, and top leadership have been toying with the idea of turning DC into its own solidified content vertical. So this is where that Marvel Studios things comes into play, because when you have DC Studios, or whatever the name is going to be, as a separate thing from Warner Bros. Pictures, you have focused people who are working on this universe only, who are making a plan, who are working on how to build the franchise, how to build the universe together, and with contacting all the directors, them getting into one room and having a meeting, talking with each other, discussing plans and all that. That only happens if you have a separate division like this. That cannot happen when you have it under one of those pictures, because you have other executives who just see numbers on a sheet and don't do shit about it, right? So that's not how you get consistency. You need to treat it as a separate franchise altogether, have a dedicated team to work on these properties alone, nothing else. So that's how you get it. So that's also another major thing that's different that Zaslav is bringing to the table, and I think that will be definitely beneficial. I'm not saying that they will just spring into the $1 billion franchise movies right from next year onwards. That's not going to happen. You still have to wait 2 or 3 years to see how this is all going to play out. So,
because like Toby Emmerich is still involved with DC films right now because it comes underneath his banner, and like he's still involved, but like it's going to take a while for them to build that DC Studios,
yes,
and then for them to transition the power that say Toby Emmerich and those executives have right now over DC. They will transition to the new executives coming in. They'll just be solely concentrating on DC. While say if Toby Emmerich does stay around, he'll just be concentrating on like
movies,
Dune and New Line Cinema, stuff like that. You know what I mean? So then his power, his like responsibilities transition into the DC Studios, and somebody else takes that role. So even if Toby Emmerich stays on, it doesn't mean it's the end for the Snyderverse or DC's in a bad position, because his responsibilities will go to somebody else unless he gets the DC job.
I don't think he will, because he's basically getting the DC job would be like him moving one position under that he's currently in. So they won't do that to him, and he won't take the job either, because he knows how this audience is. He has been in this
But
role.
his movies are Oscar. Not every movie, but his Oscars are more. His movies are more in like more of a possibility of the movies that he has get going for Oscars than say comic book
Yes.
movies. You know what I mean? Like he was a part of Dune.
Yes, so he can handle all those and leave the DC job to someone competent. And another thing that's going to be interesting is who is going to take the job, because everybody knows, everybody in the industry, the audiences, everyone knows that person is going to get a lot of backlash. The only reason Kevin Feige is not getting backlash is because he has proven himself and has given successes to the, to the studio, this to Disney, and as well as kept fans happy. Now, that same thing is not happening with Star Wars. Kathleen Kennedy, even though she delivered billion-dollar movies, only one movie flopped, in the Star Wars franchise, which is Solo. Um, every other movie, even The Last Jedi, even the last one, both made over $1 billion. So she at least delivered, financially. But a lot of fans hate her, even after delivering successes. A lot of fans hate her. So that the vitriol is gonna come for the new person, whoever is gonna take charge of DC films.
Yeah, well, I think she messed up, like getting rid of, was it Colin Trevorrow?
Yeah.
He's supposed to do us, and then like Ryan Johnson, his plan was kind of put to the side as well, and they brought JJ back. I think she messed up there because Rogue One is a brilliant movie, even though there was some behind the scenes kind of drama there as well. That was brilliant. I thought Solo was actually pretty good, but I think
it was.
the reception of The Last Jedi and then Solo coming out a few months later just probably didn't help that at the time. But I also think she did well because she hired John Favreau to come in, Mandalorian.
Yep.
Did a fantastic job. And then like
The streaming Star Wars is doing very well.
Yeah, so like Obi-Wan's coming out pretty soon as well, which I'm excited for. So I think she just kind of, maybe it wasn't solely her fault. It's just things that didn't go that well, some of the talent, and and then the live action movies didn't do that well. So like in terms of like what they could have been and should have been and stuff like that. But the streaming shows have been pretty good. And I think she saved herself in the last maybe since the Rise of Skywalker in that sense. But like the person who takes over DC, yeah, it's going to be very difficult. But I think if that person whoever it is, got a Twitter account, an Instagram account, a TikTok, and actually communicated with fans,
Yeah.
and actually was enthusiastic, I think it would change. It would help a lot. I think you look at Jason Blum of Blumhouse Studios. He's very active online. He's always talking to his audience. He's always saying, "Oh, we have this movie coming here. Oh, this movie's out this week. It's really good. I really love it." That's, even though it may be BS, it's still good to see somebody communicating with the fans. Kevin Feige does it a lot as well. He doesn't have a huge.
It just shows that they care about the audience. With WB, they show that they don't care.
Yeah, I like that because there's like you're trying to sell the product or the movie or whatever it is.
Look at Apple.
It's cool to kind of put it.
Steve Jobs was the one who sold the product.
Yeah, get out there, talk to your audience, even though there's going to be some trolls out there or whatever. Ignore them. I tell you what you do is you look at the positive comments and you kind of enhance them and more stuff like that, because I think it's important to engage with your fan base, especially nowadays with social media. And
absolutely.
Technology. There's no excuse not to be online and stuff. I know it can be toxic and stuff like that, but it kind of comes with the position you're in as well. No matter what position, like if you're a football manager and your team's not doing that well, you're going to face backlash. And the only way you can change that is by changing the results and getting good results and winning games. And that's what DC have to do right now. They have to win some games. They have to engage with their fan base, and hopefully, I don't know who should get the job. I can probably guarantee you, whoever does get the job will be somebody that nobody ever heard of before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Kevin Feige is a comic book fan. He's executive produced so many movies and stuff like that. But he has a good track record. He has a good win. But the thing is, like, I don't think movies like Black Widow are fantastic, but they got good reviews and they made a good bit of money. Probably because of the previous movies doing so well. The Iron Man's one.
Yeah.
Captain America.
That's what I was saying when I was saying that you need consistent brand, why do Marvel Studios fans or audiences go to the movies? Do they go because, oh, look, Ant-Man movie. Ant-Man is such an iconic character. I'm so hyped for an Ant-Man movie. Do they go for that? No, they go because it's a Marvel Studios film and it's connected to the Avengers and all that. That's the reason they go. So you need to have that with your brand.
Yeah, like if DC had like 5 or 6 or maybe 10 wins, and then a Shazam movie came out and it was just like an okay movie, I think it would do a lot better than the previous Shazam movie did. You kind of build up that fan base.
Yes.
I want to see the next DCU entry. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see who gets the job, but I don't know who should get it. Like, I don't know. It's gonna be some. I don't know who should get it. Like people online are very narrow-minded. It should be Zack Snyder who gets it. Like,
no.
Zack Snyder is a talented director. I don't want him sitting in an office.
Some people even said James Gunn, and even James Gunn said that he won't do it because he's a filmmaker. He won't do it. Like, why would he do that?
Like, these guys wouldn't have time to make movies if they were over the entire thing, So it's going to be somebody who has and it sounds like from Sazdov's thinking, he doesn't want somebody who is like a really, really good producer. He wants somebody who has a business mind as well. So that means managing budgets. That means figuring out the best way to maximize the product in terms of this movie right here will be really good as a box office movie for 45 days, and then we can put it on HBO Max. Or this movie right here, actually, you know what? This movie right here, it's an unknown character. The actor is unknown as well. Oh, these directors haven't really directed anything on this scale. This will be a really good HBO Max movie for us. So that's what that means. But it's managing your brand as well. Or this movie here actually might be better as a HBO Max series. So that's what they're talking about in terms of somebody who has a business mind in terms of not making stupid decisions like the marketing behind Birds of Prey, like the headless cameos and stuff like that.
That shit has to stop immediately. That is very damaging to the brand. Like, that needs to go. Because not again to bring up Marvel, but if you see Thor, I think it was Thor 2, Captain America didn't need to be in that. It was just a random cameo. Loki is just walking by, and he just shifts into Captain America for just 2 seconds. For that 2 seconds alone, they brought Chris Evans in. So, and DC couldn't do that for Jared Leto when he's available. And they are making a Birds of Prey movie focusing on the breakup of Joker and Harley Quinn. That is your plot, and you're not having Jared Leto in it. It's disastrous. That should not happen again. And you do not bench Superman. You just do not bench Superman. That is your face of the DCEU. You have your Batman movie, sure, but that's not DCEU. But you need to have your face of the DCU back. And I'm glad that they acknowledged that. It feels like this article was very specific in fixing the problems because they addressed having the different vertical thing. They needed to have DC as a separate studio. They addressed Superman. They didn't mention him, but they addressed Superman because they know that fans are dying to see another Superman movie. So there is that as well. So I'm glad that they said these two things, as well as the head of the entire DC thing. So that will really help a lot. So here's hoping that the DC films coming in the future are more cohesive, more successful, better connected, and good. But from the current slate, exciting as well, yes. But from the current slate, I really, 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 really want that Flash movie to come out. I don't want them to scrap it. Because that's one movie that has Ben Affleck's Batman. You have other League members. You have Flash, who was so awesome in Zack Snyder's Justice League. You have Keaton Batman, and a lot of people love him, so that will also be good. You have Supergirl. It's such a big scale movie, and it's very interesting to me. So I just hope that they release that movie. But from now till then, there could be a lot of changes to that movie. So
that's the problem, isn't it? That's
the problem. It could be better.
Could improve it.
Yeah. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Fingers crossed. And
Speaking of the Flash,
It's never boring being a DC fan.
yeah,
It's very stressful.
definitely. So speaking of the Flash movie, Veer Anon, who has been, saying stuff about the Flash a lot, and he is privy to the information of the Flash test screening because either him or her, I don't know who it actually is. So either them or some of their friends have seen the Flash movie when it was test screened a while ago. So according to him, um, Jeremy Irons' Alfred is in the Flash movie, and not just as a voice in the ear of Batfleck or anything. He has screen time. So that is pretty great information because I love his Alfred, from Batman v Superman to even Justice League. He was awesome. I think he's the best Alfred we've ever had. I think he's just so sarcastic, and he keeps Batfleck in check. So just imagine how good he is. So I'm glad that he is in the Flash movie, as even has screen time. So because that duo, that dynamic, between Batfleck and Alfred is always fun. It's always funny to see. It's always welcome. So I love that. What do you think about this news?
Did you hear about the scene?
It's during that chase scene, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's spoilers or it's rumors or what, but yeah, it's supposed to be a big heist at the start of the movie or something like that.
Yeah.
Where like Flash and Batman are working together, and so like on a screen or something that Alfred appears. I don't know if it's on Batman's wrists or I don't know how, or if it's apparently it's not just like over. It's not just like the camera cuts to him in the Batcave. Apparently, he can be visibly seen by the League members or by Batman at least.
Oh,
So that'd be cool. That'd be cool. But it wouldn't make sense if he wasn't in it because how can you have Batman
on a
without
mission.
Alfred?
Yeah.
Yeah, because in the last two movies, Batman has always communicated with Alfred and he's always been there. So like, it would make no sense if in this one Batman appeared Batfleck and there was no Alfred. Like, where's Alfred? Everybody like that would be kind of the elephant in the room. Where's Alfred? Because Batfleck and Alfred, the chemistry between those two was fantastic. It's so funny, as you said. It's so dry. It's so
Yeah.
hilarious. The digs. It's brilliant. It's really and it feels genuine as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would be a shame if he wasn't in it. So also, this is a good sign that I have hope that Ben Affleck will come back after this movie.
Yeah, I think so too, but having him in there also just solidifies it even more. Plus, even if they don't come back, it's just a cool thing to see it again because
Yeah.
I just love their dynamic.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's good. Yeah, if it is the last one, then Zack Snyder's Justice League and hopefully whatever happens in the Flash are hopefully good send-offs for the two characters.
Absolutely. All right, so let's move on to Rebel Moon. Now we have the first official first set picture from Rebel Moon. It has officially gone into production finally, and I am super hyped for this movie. You cannot even imagine. This is everything I've always wanted from Zack Snyder, like a sci-fi space movie. It's just my thing. So
Is Rebel Moon the working title for the Nightmare movies? Because
yes.
this looks like the Nightmare timeline.
Yeah. So this is a picture from inside a what looks to be a cave, and some people are working outside. So it looks very interesting. Zach took this picture, and there's sand and all that. So I believe this could be the home planet of Sophia's character. So yeah, I think that's probably what they're filming here. But we have no information, and we just know that this is this has gone into production. So I'm very 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 excited to see this movie. This is a two-parter, so they are filming both parts together, and those two movies will be released within a year with each other, or just within the same year, I guess. So I just hope that we get more stuff, like more set pictures, and some concept art or something like that. I'm just looking forward to everything that they're putting out.
Yeah, they starts filming in May, or is it starting now?
It already
soon?
started.
Okay, cool. So yeah, we should be getting some cool like Zack picks on Vero, which will be awesome. And yeah, so we'll get this movie next year, maybe even the two of them. Yeah, we could get one early next year.
Before Dune 2, we have these two movies.
Before Star Wars, or another Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, look, I can't really tell much from the shop, but it looks like a cool place.
Yep.
And yeah, looking forward to seeing what Zack can do. Like, this is really big, and people all want Zack to come back, but he's busy at Netflix. Remember, for the next year and a half, till at least 2024. He's busy there with Planet of the Day, the two Rebel Moon movies, and who knows what else after that. So the guy is pretty busy, even though we want him to come back to DC, and he seems to be happy there. He gets so much creative freedom, and hopefully the landscape at DC changes for him to appear back at DC. But right now, the landscape at Netflix is a dream come true because of the freedom he has. So plus he probably gets an unlimited budget there too, you know. So even though he's really good at working with a budget, but yeah, let's go. I'm very intrigued to see what this one is going to be. Mix between Star Wars, Dune, and Zack Snyder's mad, crazy mind. So great cast as well. I wonder if it must be fully cast now. The entire thing must not.
No,
unless
there are
maybe there's
more.
some voice. There's going to be more coming.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, okay, cool. I wonder is it going to be on like Kieran Hines like voiceover character? You know what I mean? Like Steppenwolf Darkseid. I wonder if there's going to be somebody like that will be cast later on for a voiceover character.
Yeah, absolutely, and I cannot wait. And we'll definitely be covering it. You know, every news that's been dropping for Rebel Moon, every new casting, set pictures, behind the scenes concept art, anything. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to that. I just cannot wait for that first teaser, man. It's gonna blow everyone off.
Snyderverse, what?
I actually do think that after this movie, people are gonna remember Zack for this franchise and not for his DC films.
Ooh, that's a big statement.
Yes, like you can see how many people love Star Wars, right? And now they are not that in love with Star Wars. They, it has soured a bit. So Dune was very well received by most people, and Dune is similar to Star Wars, but not as big, right? It's very limited in its story. But this has like a full universe. You have multiple planets. There's wars, there's empire, there's rebels. You have all of that. Like, so, I just cannot wait.
Look, me too.
And it's not Star Wars, and let me tell you, that's a good thing, because you don't have to be limited to, oh, the Force cannot do that, this, and oh, lightsaber can only be this cylindrical rod. You can have so many different types of weapons.
Canon doesn't matter because there is no canon.
There is no canon, exactly. So yeah. Oh, also, they might have spin-offs, which other directors can go make.
Oh yeah. Oh, I think so, because Army of Thieves is a good example.
Yeah.
That wasn't Zack didn't direct that spin-off, and that was actually a really good movie.
Mm-hmm.
That was a brilliant movie. So yeah, love to see that again. Some series, maybe animated stuff. Yeah. Look at the Star Wars universe. There's Disney Plus series. There's the Clone Wars. So yeah, I think like Netflix is looking for this. Netflix doesn't have that big franchise yet.
They don't. Yeah.
I think this could be.
They thought The Witcher was gonna be that, but it isn't.
Yeah. I know. I don't think people are as interested with the non-Henry Cavill content. But Zack is building two franchises at Netflix right now. A zombie one and a sci-fi one. I think down the line he will do his own original superhero one.
That will be interesting.
I think that's what he'll do eventually down the line with Netflix. He has a zombie one, which seems to be doing pretty well, and zombies are still relevant. People love zombies. They've stood the test of time of cinema and TV and sci-fi stuff. You can have a mature mixture of Dune and Star Wars. That'll be unique in its own right, because Star Wars can't do that.
Yeah.
It's like Marvel can't do the Joker movie. Star Wars can't do the Rebel Moon movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's that's going to be interesting. My prediction for a while has been he will do his own original superhero series down the line.
That will be very, very interesting.
So that's my prediction. So clip this. Remember, that's what I think is going to happen.
I hope so, because one of the things that I find odd is that people in superhero movies, whether it be Marvel or DC, people don't make original superhero characters. They always go back to comics and take the existing characters.
Yeah.
One of them
Like-
should have an original character. Why not?
Like Superman, Homelander. What was the character in Jupiter's Legacy?
Oh, Utopian?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and then
Invincible?
the character from
Omni-Man.
Eternals.
Oh, Eternals.
Omni-Man's another example. Yeah, or Eternals as well. Those characters all are like Superman
Yes.
physically. I actually think if Zack did his own original superhero movies, I think they would be original. I don't think there would be any kind of I don't think there would be. I think he would have some really original stuff that we've never seen before. I think he would, of course, have homage to maybe some of his Justice League members. But I think we could get some original superheroes that we've never even thought of or seen before from Zack, because he would love to redefine the genre. Imagine if in a few years he redefined the superhero genre.
Yeah.
Again. Like that would be pretty. That's never been done before.
Yep. I hope that happens.
Yeah.
All right. So that's all of our topics for today. Thank you everyone for stopping by and joining us in our discussion. So from all these topics, my favorite one obviously is the DC one, because I was just so tired of, them mishandling all these great characters that you have that have been successful over decades, like from the 1980s. Superman was 78, right?
Yeah, well, it's good that David Zaslav had acknowledged this about
Yeah.
Superman. Like, he's actually said the company has failed the character.
Yep. It's basically what it was. And the first day of his operation, he came out and said, we
Yep.
need a DC overhaul. So that's great. All right.
Yeah.
So
Let me ask you,
yeah.
because I have only seen the Batman once in theaters, and like at the time I wanted to go see it again, but like money and life and stuff like that, I didn't get to go see it a second time in theaters. But it's coming out on HBO Max tomorrow, and I can't wait to watch it. Sit down and watch it again. But I want to be very intrigued to see how. Cause I like the movie a lot, but there's some stuff that I wasn't too sure about, especially the ending. With the Batman and being kind of the light of hope and stuff like that. So I'm interested to watch the movie again tomorrow, and to see how I feel a second time around watching it. Because I did like it the first time. It was just a very different movie, and I don't know if I quite kind of attached myself to what it was going for and the symbolism of it all. Will you be watching the Batman again, and are you interested to see if your opinion has kind of changed and improved maybe your opinion on it?
Yeah, I'll be definitely watching it because I like the tone of the movie. I like the music. I like some of the humor of it. It was really funny. So barring the third act, a lot of things, not just the plot and all. I've enjoyed the movie, so I will be watching it one more time. I had zero interest in watching it again in the theater. I just was done after one viewing. I had no inclination to go watch it again. But at home I can just watch it again. So yeah, I'll be checking it out.
Nice.
All right, so you can follow me at Krypton Caged on all social media. You can obviously follow us at The Real Talk Live on all social media. Maher's been doing a fantastic job at posting video content on Instagram and TikTok as well. So you have to check that out as well.
Yeah. So yeah.
Apparently they're doing well over there.
Yes, a lot of our videos getting thousands of views and stuff like that, and
nice.
It's good, and it's a different kind of audience there, different platform there as well. So yeah, sometimes if you don't have time to watch the entire YouTube channel videos, you can go onto Instagram and get 30-second snippets, and that can basically tell you all you want to know as well in a way. Or if not, it might interest you to check out the actual stream by just seeing 30 seconds of it. So yeah, you can go to the Instagram and click the link tree, I think it's called, in the bio. Brings to all of our social media platforms, so it's pretty easy to go follow us and all that kind of stuff. TikTok is there. You can Sometimes on Instagram the trailers get taken down. On TikTok they don't really like, or on Instagram they don't really like trailers sometimes. So sometimes they leave them up. But on TikTok they don't care about copyright or anything like that. So TikTok for new trailers and stuff like that. And of course, come follow me on my social medias, Movies That Matter on all social medias, TikTok as well. So I don't know. We'll have a review. I'll have a review of The Northman on my channel in the next few days. I'll also be talking about it here next week. I think, KC, does it come out for you next week?
No, it does not.
Oh, okay.
The Northman and the Everything Everywhere All at Once, both are not releasing here.
Damn. I'm going to try and see Sonic 2 and The Northman this week, so I'll be doing a review on the channel of that. But I'm very intrigued to see The Northman. It's getting great reviews, and it looks brilliant.
Of course, it's Robert Eggers. You cannot expect anything less. But before watching that, I would suggest you to go watch The Witch and the Lighthouse.
Yeah, 2 movies I haven't seen, so I'll have to do that, actually.
I think you'll definitely like them. And, you know, you have Anya Taylor-Joy and Robert Pattinson, so...
Never go too far around those.
Yeah. All right, guys. We'll see you next weekend, and until then, take care.